MrBeast, KSI's and Logan Paul's Lunchly product is so dangerous for human consumption that real-life legitimate certified doctors are now making videos about it, warning everybody not to eat it. And for those who have been living under a rock, just a couple weeks ago, the demonic trio of MrBeast, KSI and Logan Paul launched a Lunchables alternative called Lunchly, where they pushed the idea that this is a healthier alternative to other processed food. Well, now you might be wondering why real doctors are trying to warn us about this. Well, let me introduce you to Dr. Mike.
And I usually don't make videos discussing creators' products, but when terms like healthier or better for you get tossed around, I feel it's important to set the record straight.
Let's not even get started on the fact that their so-called revolutionary ingredient is real cheese. It honestly looks more like something that would stick to your regrets than your sandwich. But the bigger concern is that this new lunch snack could seriously impact child obesity rates, enough to make health officials take notice. So, what are the actual risks of this product? Before diving into the medical opinions, let's set the stage. Prime, another product launched by Logan Paul and KSI, is already facing 3 separate lawsuits, primarily for being considered a health risk, especially for younger consumers. Even though Prime is deemed unsafe for kids, it's being marketed directly to them. Similarly, MrBeast's Feastables bar, which is supposed to be a healthier option, has been revealed to contain even more sugar and calories than a Hershey's bar.
Now in 2024, MrBeast changed the formula again to where it has mostly the same ingredients as Hershey's and even more sugar and more calories per bar. And this initial ad for Feastables where he calls it healthy is still getting millions of views a month.
Anyways, so now let's hear what the real health professionals have to say about Lunchly.
In fact, throughout the Lunchly website and the social media promo posts, you'll see countless comparisons being made to Lunchables. To be honest, some of the comparisons are kind of cringe and don't make much sense to me, but maybe that's because I'm not the target demo. Flavorful combos versus standard picks? The meal kit combos are nearly identical to Lunchables. Big gestures versus mid moments? I certainly don't remember that lesson in my nutrition classes.
Dr. Mike points out that some of the comparisons between Lunchly and Lunchables are pretty cringe and don't hold up. Take, for instance, the claim about flavorful combos versus standard packs. The reality is that the meal kits are almost identical to Lunchables. If you're making weak arguments like that, it just highlights how low quality the product really is.
Well, let's look at the recently passed nutrition standards set forth by the USDA for school lunches and see how Lunchly compares. Going line by line here. Less than 10% of calories should come from saturated fat. Lunchly turkey, 23% of calories come from saturated fat. Less than 10% of calories should come from added sugars. Lunchly turkey, 10.4 comes from added sugars. But this is where things get really interesting, and for some reason no one has pointed this out. You see, USDA caloric guidelines say that a lunch meal for kids K through 8 should contain around 625 calories. Kids need energy to function, and calories give them that energy. Lunchly turkey contains only 230 calories, which would mean a kid would need to eat about 2.7 portions to consume enough calories. And if they did that, they'd get nearly 1,300 milligrams of sodium, which is also significantly over the USDA standards. So they'd be either under-eating calories or overeating sodium. Finally, the grain guidelines state that 80% of lunch meals must be whole grain, and Lunchly turkey does not list any whole grain ingredients. It's clear Lunchly, just like Lunchables, misses the mark too many times to be considered meaningfully healthier, at least in my opinion.
In the end, it looks like MrBeast, KSI, and Logan Paul basically repackaged an already existing ultra-processed food and slapped a new label on it, while still keeping it just as unhealthy. Dr. Mike points out that despite all the marketing, it's really just another highly processed product. Lunchables, which have had their own share of controversies, like heavy metal contamination, already set a pretty low standard, and Lunchly doesn't even manage to surpass that. When someone on X mentioned the issue of heavy metals, Logan Paul responded with a video of an X-ray machine, but those scans are meant for detecting foreign objects, not heavy metal contaminants.
I just saw someone ask about heavy metal contamination, and Logan responded with a video of an X-ray machine checking for foreign materials. That checks for stray objects accidentally getting into the meals, not heavy metal contaminations like we discussed earlier with Lunchables and lead.
Dr. Mike suggests that while there's no harm in trying to improve on products like Lunchables, the trio should consult with a health expert to ensure both their product and the messaging behind it are actually accurate. He wraps up by stressing that when marketing a product as healthy for kids, it's important to hold it to a higher standard.
And saying a food has more electrolytes, therefore it must be better or healthier, is just not true. Foods with an incredibly high sodium content an electrolyte, are not considered particularly healthy. In fact, many are considered unhealthy for that reason. I can't expect non-medical people to get this perfect, but if you're gonna stand by a children's food product being healthy, you need to hold your messaging to a higher standard.
Things really heat up when another doctor with a large following chimed in, and the Lunchler trio didn't seem to appreciate his comments either. Dr. Brian released a video where he focused on the fact that sodium was being rebranded as electrolytes, taking a few subtle jabs at Lunchly on X. Dr. Mike even mentions this tweet in his video, agreeing with Dr. Brian's point.
Sodium getting rebranded as electrolytes will be taught in marketing textbooks one day.
And then sadly was ashamed to see Logan attack instead of starting a meaningful dialogue with the doctor, given that 400 milligrams is not the amount of electrolytes in Prime, at least in the image that Logan shared. 400 milligrams of potassium plus 5 milligrams of sodium equals 405 milligrams of electrolytes. It's not about nitpicking, it's just about being reasonable and honest to help further the conversation.
The core of Dr. Brian's argument was that just because something has high sodium content, it doesn't automatically mean it leads to better hydration, especially for kids. He went further by explaining that while electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and magnesium are indeed vital for bodily functions, the marketing around drinks like Prime makes it seem like more electrolytes always mean better hydration, which isn't true for most people. This is especially misleading when consumed casually rather than during rigorous physical activity. So unless the kids are out here running marathons during recess, which let's face it, kids these days aren't, there's really no need for electrolyte heavy drinks. Water and a balanced diet will do just fine to maintain their electrolyte levels. Dr. Brian also emphasized that while sodium is essential for replenishing fluids lost during sweat-heavy activities, many electrolyte drinks don't actually contain enough sodium to help with proper rehydration. For example, Prime only has 5 to 10 milligrams of sodium, which falls short compared to other drinks specifically made for hydration. Ultimately, Dr. Brian argues that Prime uses buzzwords like more electrolytes to make it seem healthier than it really is. Now, I don't know about you, but all of this seems pretty reasonable. However, Logan Paul didn't take this lightly and fired back, saying, "Crazy how even a sports medicine doctor can't tell the difference between sodium and potassium. The referenced 400 milligrams of electrolytes is the potassium in Prime, you idiot." But Dr. Mike wasn't having any of it and shut Logan down, pointing out that the 400 milligrams isn't the full amount of electrolytes in Prime. As shown in Logan's image, it's 400 milligrams of potassium plus 5 milligrams of sodium, totaling 405 milligrams of electrolytes. Dr. Brian had a sharp comeback, tweeting, "Crazy how a professional wrestler wants to start a debate with me about his electrolyte drink. But if the replies weren't turned off, maybe we could." So, did Logan actually turn off the replies because he didn't want to deal with the backlash? What do you think? Dr. Brian ended the exchange with one last playful shot at Logan, which got quite a few laughs from people online. In the meantime, both Logan and KSI dropped response videos on YouTube. After all this back and forth on X and now making response videos, it's clear that people aren't happy with the new Lunchly product. And that's how doctors destroy MrBeast, KSI, and Logan Paul. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, comment, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.